Long ago, in a time when the earth still whispered secrets to those who listened, there was a world divided. A world where great empires towered like gods and mystics roamed the wild woods, guarding ancient magics that lay hidden beneath the surface of the land. Rome, a city of stone, of triumph, and of empire, stood at the peak of its power. Its legions, proud and unyielding, crushed everything in their path. They stretched their dominion across the known world, their shadows casting over every corner of the empire. Yet there were lands beyond the reach of their grasp, where the trees grew thick and the hills were untamed. There, in the distant mist, the Celts awaited. They were a people of fire and fury, draped in the colors of the earth, with eyes that burned as fiercely as the battle songs they sang. Their lands were a wild thing, untouched by the hands of Rome, where the sky was darker and the earth more alive with spirits and forces unknown. It was a place where the gods themselves walked among the people, and the future had yet to be written. And so, the Romans never considered the Celts a real threat. They were too wild, too untamed. But as history often tells, the fate of kingdoms is shaped by the overlooked, the forgotten, and those who rise from beneath the veil of time. Chilling sounds, the eerie sound of wind through the branches, like a low moan. In the dark forests of Gaul, where shadows played tricks on the eyes, there was one who would lead the Celts toward their destiny. A warrior, a mystic, whose name would live forever in the whispers of history. Brennus. Brennus was no ordinary man. He was a king forged in the heat of battle, a leader who spoke not with the tongue of men, but with the voice of the land itself. He understood the ways of the earth, the ancient runes carved into the rocks by the gods of old, and he saw what others could not, that Rome, for all its might, was a beast who had become too fat with pride, too comfortable in its golden halls. The time had come to strike. The sound of a war horn echoes faintly in the background, almost as though it is coming from across centuries. And so it was, with his warriors by his side. Brennus marched into the heart of the empire, a movement of shadows and fire, a flood of vengeance and fury that swept through the Roman defenses like a storm. The streets of Rome had known only peace, and their soldiers were unprepared for what was coming. It began in the dead of night, as the Celts crossed the Rubicon, their swords gleaming faintly in the moonlight. Each step they took seemed to shake the very ground beneath them, as if the earth itself were waking to their purpose. The gods, those ancient deities who had long been forgotten in the hustle of Rome's empire building, whispered their blessings to the Celts and their curse to the Romans. Ambient sound shifts to a distant rumble, like thunder rolling across the land, growing nearer. The city of Rome, proud and unyielding, never thought that the wild men of the north would ever come for them. They had prepared for the Persians. They had prepared for the Parthians, but not for a force so primal, so raw with nature's fury. At the gates of the city, the Celts struck. Sudden shift in sound, a clash of steel, the screams of warriors, the crackle of fire. The Romans had their legions, their armor, their discipline, but they lacked the wildness of the Celts. The Celts fought with the fury of the storm, with the rage of 1,000 storms, their battle cries echoing across the broken streets. Their blades were swift, their spirits unbreakable. And so, in the shadow of Rome's mighty walls, the Celts poured through, unstoppable, like water breaking through a dam, a flood that washed over the land. Sound of a battle-fueled chant, the growl of an ancient war cry rising from the depths of time. It was not just the Romans who were under siege, but the very heart of their empire. The city burned under the weight of the invasion. Smoke filled the air, and for the first time in centuries, the great capital trembled. Citizens fled, their golden streets littered with the debris of their fallen world. But as the Celts stormed the city, there was a haunting silence. For even in victory, there was the knowledge that no one, not even the wildest of warriors, could escape the weight of what they had unleashed. For what came next was not just the fall of a city, but the unraveling of time itself. The Celts had conquered Rome, but their conquest came at a cost. The earth, which had whispered its secrets to them, now wept in the aftermath. The gods were not pleased with this reckless victory, and the Celts, proud though they were, found themselves caught between the very forces they had sought to control. Soft whispers, the moan of wind, distant voices. As the empire fell into chaos, a chilling revelation came to pass. The Celts had won, but the victory was a curse. They had touched the heart of Rome, and in doing so, had awakened a darkness deeper than they had ever known. The spirits of the earth, once their allies, now stood silent, watching, waiting. The land had chosen them, but it had not chosen the fate that would follow. The warriors who had once roamed the forests, draped in the earth's wild colors, now found themselves fighting not just against the Romans, but against the very fabric of time itself. Their victory had rippled through the ages, bringing with it a chill that would haunt both the Celts and the Romans for generations to come. Soft, eerie sound of a clock ticking, gradually speeding up. And so, the Celts became something more than just conquerors. They became legends, woven into the tapestry of Rome's mythos. Their deeds whispered in the wind, their names sung in the songs of both victory and defeat. The victory that had once seemed so certain now hung like a shadow over them, a reminder of the fine line between triumph and destruction. For even in the wildest of victories, there lies the seed of darkness, a promise that the earth itself will one day claim its due. Ambient sound, the soft rustling of leaves, the faint cry of an owl in the distance, the flickering of a distant fire. The Celts had conquered Rome, but in the end, it was the land itself that had conquered them. For there are forces in this world, ancient, powerful, and beyond the reach of any kingdom, that cannot be tamed. And no matter how fierce the warriors, no matter how wild the gods, there are always forces that linger in the shadows, watching, waiting for the moment when the earth will claim its own. And thus, as the fires of Rome burned low and the echoes of the past faded into silence, the Celts and Romans both learned that the earth does not belong to those who conquer it. It belongs to those who honor it. The Celts conquered Rome, yes, but Rome and the earth itself conquered them in return. The voice fades slowly, the sounds of wind and whispers growing softer like a fading dream.